So I actually joined one of the private banks, or maybe even the biggest private bank in Latvia at that time. And I worked there for 6 months. The bank started to have a couple of problems with different other organizations and whatnot. So eventually, bank got liquidated. Understood I need to search for a new job. And being very frank with you, Leo, at that time, as I said, I didn't know anything about the iGaming. First month, I was thinking, I don't get it. I was like, software, B2B, turnkey, what is that? I mean, my plan was just to come, to wait a bit, learn German. That was my idea. And then go to somewhere like Switzerland or Germany to continue my career in banking. That was my goal, right? The thing started to go very well for me. I mean, I managed to close my first deal in 3 months since I joined. Then a month after, I managed to do a second closure. And then the business trip started. I started to travel a lot, see the world, understood actually what the world iGaming is, a fun place to be in. I was fighting with that. I was thinking something is wrong with me. I cannot work just 50%. If I'm here, I do my completely 150% best. I spoke once with one person, actually, completely not from my gaming world. And he said, listen, this is not a problem. Embrace yourself because this is your strength. I want to be not a boss. I want to be a leader that people respect and love, but especially respect.
Welcome to the iGaming Leader podcast, where we uncover the human side of some of the most inspirational leaders in our industry. I'm your host, Leo Judkins, and as an ex-iGaming director turned performance coach, I've worked with over 200 leaders from companies like Entain, 365, Flutter, and many more to help them build the habits to achieve sustainable high performance. In these episodes, we share exactly what it takes for you to achieve the same. So with that being said, let's dive in. Hey everybody, welcome to the iGaming Leader podcast. Today I am joined by Arturs Zagurilo, Chief Commercial Officer at GammaStack, where he leads commercial strategy across 45 countries, manages a really big team. Super excited to talk to Arturs today because his story is not just about his success, it's about his brutal honesty of that cost to success. He's been super open about his struggles with imposter syndrome. Maybe you've seen some of the videos that we've done. And yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. So really keen to hear your story. Welcome to the podcast, Arturs.
Thank you so much, Leo. Thanks for having me. I'm very happy to have a chance to share my experience a bit today with you.
I'm super excited to have you here, man. Like one of the big things I remember when, like, how Lex always calls you out. Lex, also one of our mastermind members, and says, "Oh my God, the talent of this guy, so young, already in your position." So, can we talk a little bit about that first, Arturs? Like, tell us a little bit about who you are, age, where you're at, what you do. That'd be a good start, I think.
I'm Arturs, 31 years old. Born and raised in Riga, Latvia, in a multinational family. It's a mix of everything, basically. Mom is Turkish Greek, dad is Latvian and Polish. My mother tongue is Russian. I was born in Latvia, so it's a complete mix. Yeah, I'm in iGaming space for the last 7.5 years overall. Started my journey in soft gamings. And back then, didn't know nothing about the industry. Actually, I got there by complete accident. Before I was in a banking sector, and I was thinking I'm gonna pursue my career in banking direction, gonna become a private bankier, and I was imagining all those, nice things from Wolf of Wall Street movie, got by accident, started to work there, was junior sales. I think then after 1 year, I got promoted to middle sales, then senior sales, then mentor. Then I was actually handhunted by JG. And I went there and worked under Martin Collins. Cheers to Martin, great guy. Worked there for 9 months. And then I came to GammaStack. And now I'm working last 2 years as a chief commercial officer. And as you mentioned, oversee a big team, 45 countries, different business directions, turnkey, sweepstakes, source code. I mean, you name it.
It's super impressive. It's really, it's so cool. And Like, I love how open you've been about all of it. I wanted to start kind of to transition into iGaming, if that's all right. You were in a super, stable banking career, right? It's predictable, respected, safe. It's an environment that's maybe, probably in comparison to gaming, maybe more boring. I don't know. But what was the moment that you thought, or you knew that you had to leave that world behind? Do you feel that was it just the opportunity, or was there something actually eating at you that you felt, oh, I've got to leave this area and I've got to move elsewhere?
Actually, it's a good question because the moment I understood I need to leave the banking sector, it was when the bank got liquidated. And so I actually joined one of the biggest private banks, or maybe even the biggest private bank in Latvia at that time. And I worked there for 6 months, but the bank started to have a couple of problems with FinCEN and different other organizations and whatnot. So eventually, bank got liquidated, right? And I remember actually the last month already working in the bank, I understood I need to search for a new job, right? And back then I was working as an assistant, and sometimes I had the night shifts as well. So imagine I'm searching for a job. I have those night shifts. I stayed there for like 8 to 10 hours, barely no sleep. And then I found a new job at Soft Games. And I was coming there. I was finishing my work at 8 a.m. in the bank. I was going for a quick breakfast and then coming to Soft Gaming's office and working extra 8 hours. And this situation was happening for like several weeks. And being very frank with you, Leo, at that time, as I said, I didn't know anything about the iGame. Actually, matter of fact, first month I was thinking I'm working in evolution. I don't get it. I was like, software B2B turnkey. What is that? I mean, my plan was just to come to wait a bit, maybe to learn German. That was my idea. And then go to somewhere like Switzerland or Germany to continue my career in banking, in the private banking sector. That was my goal, right? But the things started to go very well for me. I mean, I managed to close, I think, my first deal in 3 months since I joined. So I was like, I got the commission, my incentive. I'm like, okay, so I can buy me the new shoes for me. That's nice. Maybe go somewhere, for a dinner with my girlfriend. Then a month after, I managed to do a second closure. I was like, okay, maybe not shoes already, but something a bit more expensive. Maybe a small trip. Then the third closure, and then the business trip started. I started to travel a lot, see the world, understood actually what the world iGaming is about. And iGaming industry is actually a very fun place to be in compared to banking, for example, as well, because this is a very corporate and strict structure with a lot of rules. And I mean, you can't compare the expos from any other industries to the expos that we have, right? So basically that's it. So I was not planning to stay, right? But then it turned out in a different way. I managed to close some KPIs, make some money, started to travel, make connections. In the end, I got very passionate about the place I'm in.
I love also the intensity that you're talking about there, right? So from working in banking and then also like straight away running into an extra shift there. Tell me a little bit more about that, artist. I mean, that's next level kind of intensity around work. I'm sure that has formed your career ever since as well, that type of mindset, right? Like, but how did that form itself before then? Has it always been like that? Is that something, that kind of work ethic, is that something that you grew up with? Did you identify that in childhood? Tell us a little bit more about how that,
Yeah.
when you first noticed that, and how you were maybe different from others around you.
I can already remember myself in at school, the way I was actually studying. A lot of kids were normal kids. They were just doing them homework on time, putting 50% of effort, 60% effort, but constantly. The way I was studying all the time, it was either everything or nothing. So I'm always very radical about it. I have like those sprints. And then this is the way my mindset works the best and produces the best quality, actually. Now, I was thinking lately, okay, maybe it's just a matter of my character. Some people and psychologists say that actually some traumas as well. And maybe this is the case. But again, I came to a point in my life where I don't want to change this thing in me. This is actually my essence. This is my essence. And matter of fact, it proves, at least in my life, that it works. Right? It works. It worked at school. My dad was saying to me since I was 14 that I will not graduate. I will not finish the school just because of my attitude. And I said to him, listen, don't worry about this. Let me chill right now. Trust me. Just trust me. I'm going to make it work. And 1 month before exams, I was all over the place. I was studying for 20 hours a day. And I managed to close. I managed to close all the gaps, pass all the exams, managed to get actually to one of the best European universities, Utrecht University in the Netherlands, right? Just by myself. Yeah. Cheers to Utrecht. Very nice place, by the way. Yeah, and same principle applies right now in work. Completely the same ethics. So I have a sprint. Usually I can, and I see that more mature I get, the longer the sprint I can hold, right? So it could be 5, 6, 8 weeks of hard, dedicated work. And again, when I'm saying hard work, it doesn't mean I'm working actually 8, 10, 12 hours, 14 hours a day. It means highly intense and focused work. Because you can spend 8 to 10 hours in the office and 4 hours of them you can just do blah, blah, blah with your colleagues at the kitchen and having some gossips, right? And we all know those type of people. Or you can actually get super focused about something that you do. No distractions. You're in the moment. You're right here. And sometimes it actually requires you much less time, right? But the productivity is super high. So this is my philosophy. This is my principle.
Then, of course, it also goes into deciding what you actually work on during those focus sprints, right? Because you could be very busy with low leverage stuff and it doesn't go anywhere either. So I love that, Arturs. But so that all or nothing mindset, I think it's something that most of our listeners will recognize. I believe most high achievers are probably all or nothing thinkers. What were some of you've embraced that, you said, right? You've embraced that. And so what that says to me is that maybe in the past, it's something that you've been fighting. Is that true? Like how has it shown up for you? Have you had difficulties with it? Has it always kind of served you well? What were some of the kind of extremes on either end with your all or nothing thinking?
That's true. I was fighting with that. I was thinking something is wrong with me. Actually, I was talking to many people, many seniors as well in the industry before, and asking how they perceive those things, what's their approach. And almost everyone was like saying, yeah, you need to be consistent, and you need to be always there and present and focus maybe on the slower pace and yada, yada. And I tried really hard, but I understood it doesn't work for me. I don't get any kind of satisfaction. I cannot work just 50%. So if I'm here, I do my completely 150% best, right? And then I spoke once with one person, actually, completely not from my gaming world. Very spiritual guy, like a mentor, this kind of a typical Bali guy from a book. And I spoke with him. We had a random conversation and I kind of shared this problem that I had. And he said, listen, this is not a problem. Embrace yourself because this is your strength. This is the way you are. It's a chaos in a way, but you can embrace this chaos. You can make it organized. Just turn it to your favor, right? Knowing your strengths, adjusting the environment around you based on your skills and strong assets. This is the key. So right now, I know how I work. I know what's the approach. And I can plan in the sprint a lot of key things I need to achieve during that period of time. And then I give myself a break. And doesn't mean, Leo, that of course I don't do nothing during the break. Of course I do, right? but it's just like more monotone, administrative work where it doesn't require a lot of cognitive functions of the brain.
You know what it kind of reminds me of, Arturs, is this idea of, I don't know how long ago, where they would punish people that were left-hand writers, and they would force them to write right-handed. And of course, those people are never going to be very good at right-hand writing because they were born with their left hand, right? And so I think that's kind of it's a great metaphor of what you're experiencing as well, is sometimes we try to fight our nature, and we're actually better off just embracing it and leaning into it and making it work for us, right? So what changed when you started embracing kind of your natural behaviors? What was the difference from kind of when you were fighting it versus now embracing it, and how did that affect your personal and your professional life?
Made a huge difference to you. A huge difference because I stopped to blame myself. And I love to blame myself for everything in life. As a high achiever, and a perfectionist, I love to blame myself a lot. And I started to blame myself, and as a consequence, I had more mental energy. I had more social battery to move on because I accept myself the way I am. I'm not saying I'm good. I'm not saying I'm bad. This is just the way I am. That's it, right? Just deal with this and use it. But this applies more in a professional work. In terms of family and relationship, I think I'm a more stable person. Thank God, because if I would have the same kind of a mindset, dealing with the people I love, the loved ones, I think that would be very, very hard to have anyone around you.
Yeah, but maybe your personal experiences, some of the things that you told me before, about tennis matches and how you turn up for your own, like you're in your own head. I think that's maybe some of the things where it gets easier over time as well, or where you just learn tricks that you go, okay, I don't have to be an all or nothing thinker here. I can actually just roll with things. And yeah, tell us a little bit more about that. How's that changed over time with how you perhaps talk to yourself, or the standards that you hold yourself to?
I have high standards for myself for sure. So the second place for me is nothing.
First loser.
Yeah, best loser. It implies it everywhere. And again, you gave a good example of tennis match. Listen, for me, just saying, "Oh, I had a good game, but I lost," doesn't give me any kind of satisfaction. But definitely that drives me to continue to try. I don't stop to make any kind of attempts. I don't stop, yet I win. So I have a friend actually. We played with him, I think, 86 times tennis match.
It's a very specific number.
I lost 85 times, I guess. And I hope you're going to see this podcast. So cheers to Pasha.
Thank you, Pasha.
But I don't stop. I don't stop. Again, being frank with you also, Leo, I understand actually where this mindset is coming from. All or nothing, and being a high achiever, being perfectionist. And then we can get to the imposter syndrome. It's a lack of genuine confidence sometimes. It's feeling that you're not enough, right? I think I told you when we had the interview with you, I mentioned to you something very delicate in terms of my childhood. I love my parents. I love my mom. But my mom was always telling me that actually, if you're the best at class, in studies, then she was showing affection and love, and and it kind of stayed with me, thinking that, okay, I need to prove something to myself, to my parents, to deserve recognition, love, and many people are like that, because in the end of the day, we're social beings. We're living in societies. We're not somewhere in the temples by ourselves as monks. But it also, the coin has two sides. In one way, it affects me because it drives me all the time. I'm a high achiever. I have results. I'm always in this fast pace. But on the other hand, the problem is that sometimes you cannot just get a satisfaction from life, because it doesn't matter what you're going to have in the end in terms of your professional goals, career, money wise, family. It's never enough. You're always trying to do something better. You always think that the grass is greener on the other side of the fence.
And how's that now? Has that changed over time? Do you feel, is that still something that you're experiencing a lot? Is it getting better? Is it something that you want to change? How do you feel about it? How do you feel about that now?
Want to change that, and Leo, that was my reason why I joined iGaming Club. Right? That was the main reason. Imposter syndrome is something superficial. There are different roots actually to this problem that we are discussing right now. So I joined the club. I joined this community of fantastic people, and what actually helps me is to see that I'm not alone. Right? There are other people like me and having the same issues, and we can support and help each other. This is fantastic. I think this is very, very important because people require people around them. And then I'm also having my sessions with psychologist once in a week for the last 3 years. It's very hard. It's very hard. Very hard to be brutally honest. And first of all, with yourself, and admit something in life, and sometimes go back to your childhood and analyze some traumas or something else that happened. It's hard. But as long as you start this journey, and as long as you actually have courage to admit that there's something wrong and I want to have a drastic change in my life, this is already half of the way. And another half of the way is execution. And I don't expect quick results for myself. I'm having this sessions, as I said, with my psychologist for the last 3 years. And now I feel I just started. The first couple of months, I was like, yeah, okay, I got it. Now it's gonna be much better. No. I was so wrong. Now I understand this is a journey for life. There's always something. There's always something to discuss, to understand, to share the pain, to reflect, and then try to bring into real life the lessons that you learn actually while having those sessions. And also while talking with people from my gaming club community as well. That's completely the same.
You know, I think the big thing here is that we often think there needs to be some sort of outcome, right? With coaching or with psychologists, or okay, once I hit this point, I'm better. You know, I'm fixed, and it just doesn't work like that, right? Because there is no better or fixed, or there's just the journey, and I think that's such a different approach from, you know, someone that's been in sales, right? You've grown from junior sales to chief commercial officer and have much more progress in front of you. Like it's very outcome driven, right? So what have you found most difficult with kind of identifying the difference between things that are very outcome driven and things that are perhaps more, you know, journey driven, that are more, they call it the infinite game versus the finite game. Like how have you managed that over time? Because that, you know, most of us take the same mindset to both different scenarios and then feel like a failure every time we don't reach the end outcome with these things that are life, right? So tell me a little bit more about that, Arturs. Like, how have you changed that over time, and what were some of the struggles on that journey towards the changes that you've made?
I think I started to change my approach a bit once I joined the club, actually, because you mentioned this a couple of times about the importance actually of the journey, ikigai, right? And I like this Japanese philosophy. And also I was reading a book, Atomic Habits, which is also a very good book in your opinion, right? And while inventing certain habits in my life based on that book, what I understood and what was actually written there is you need to change the mindset in a way that there is not the end goal of, let's say, for example, I want to lose weight, right? I want to lose 10 kilos. That's the end goal. So what's going to be next, right? You're going to start eat unhealthy food again or what? Right? There is very much of a certainty after this goal, right? Now, if you change and twist your mindset and you say to yourself, actually, I want to be a healthy life support, right? This is already changing your essence. You're changing your DNA, who I am. And this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm trying to do. By the way, regarding the diet, same. I'm not trying to have any kind of final goal where I want to get into the shape, but just consuming healthy food, doing sports, right? And same with work. Who is this person in terms of, let's say, professional career I want to be? I want to be not a boss. I want to be a leader that people respect and love, but especially respect. And this is how I'm right now trying to prioritize the things at work. Of course, I'm a C-level. We have a lot of KPIs. This is my responsibility. How are we going to achieve? But I'm trying to embrace the journey for myself and for my sales guys. Lately, actually, I think a month ago, we had a couple of bad lucks, a streak in terms of the closures. It happens in sales, especially in iGaming, right? So a couple of deals, just we lost them on the signing phase already because of the reasons that we couldn't influence. And I saw that obviously there's a lack of motivation from a sales team in the moment. And I'm myself, of course, I'm also worried. But what I try to tell them and encourage myself actually is that, guys, let's stick to the locus of control. You did everything you could, right? You need to embrace actually that you made a fantastic intro call. They were interested. They came to the demo call. They were interested. You got to the contract part. You did everything that was depending on you, right? Embrace this. And the results will come. It's just a numbers game. If you do your work well, sooner or later, the maths, the statistics will turn to your favor.
Yeah, I actually posted about this. It's all about making plus EV decisions. That's the key.
Yes. If you're playing one hand in poker, correct me if I'm wrong, Leo, right? It's 90% of luck and 10% of skill. But if you look into 1 year, it's 90% already of skill and 10% of luck. If you do constantly same decisions again, based on the data you have.
Exactly. Yeah, it's exactly that. It's exactly playing the odds. And I think, that's so true, right? Because you can't control whether or not somebody's budget gets pulled or, I don't know, suddenly the market shifts or, the company that you're working with, that you want to sign a deal with, they all of a sudden get their license pulled, whatever, like that. It's just not in your control. Of course, it's going to affect you, but focusing on the things inside of your control rather than outside of your control, I think is super powerful. So thank you for sharing that, Arturs. The big thing that is really hard there, though, is like you said, right? You're an all or nothing thinker. You play 81 games, and you're very outcome driven, right? You're also you're a super hard worker. You focus very deeply on sprints. You make decisions on what you prioritize. Now, a lot of people that work for you even, very likely, don't work like that, right? And they don't have that same mindset, and they approach things differently. Now, how do you deal with that? Because that, I think, as leaders, that's one of the, it's easy to manage people that think like you, do like you, it's difficult to manage people that just have a completely different view on things and a very different approach on things. So how do you deal with that? Because maybe your first thought is, oh my God, this just got to change and do things like I do,
That's a very good question. I love it. Indeed, my team members are very different. They are different. They have different superpowers. Some of them are fantastic in sales. Some other people are, let's say, maybe much more organized and structured and analytical, right? So I think my job as being a good leader is to create an environment where I can embrace their skills and they know they have a place where they can grow and that they do job in the way they want. And if they achieve results, Why not? They can have any kind of style or approach for work. So I'm a huge hater of micromanagement. I was hating micromanagement when I was working in previous companies myself. Thank God didn't happen that often. So I'm a true believer that if you hire people and you trust them, not just on paper, but in practice, show that. I cannot duplicate myself, Leo. I cannot. Even if I'm hard working, whatever. I cannot. I have only 24 hours a day. If I'm going to micromanage everyone, if I'll try to change the way they work according to my view of life, nothing will work. But if I trust them, I give them the credit, saying, guys, you can do it the way you want and the way that works best for you according to your skill set. The most important is just the result. If they're going to get there from A to B, I don't care how they got there. So this is the point. I think this is my work. This is my job actually as being a good leader.
Has it always been like that? Is it something that you learned over time?
I always trust people. I always could delegate. And I always understood that really everyone is different. I'm not the center of the universe, right? My philosophy doesn't mean that it's good and it can be applied for others people's lives.
Yeah, works for you. Doesn't have to work for anybody else.
No, that's completely correct. So
yeah, love it. Hey, Arturs, you moved from junior sales to chief commercial officer. Many people will have that same ambition, right, of growing very, very quickly. Now, you closed some deals really quickly early on in your career, where B2B, of course, as we all know, has a very long sales cycle. So that is already very impressive. But what I'd like to ask you is, what are some of the maybe behaviors or skills that you've learned, or maybe even the mindset that you've had that has helped you the most with making fast progress in your career?
Patience. Patience was the key. I'll give you the context. Before joining the iGaming industry as well, I think around 2 years' time, when I was a student, I was working as a sales assistant in a shop. I was selling sports nutrition. And as you can imagine, doing the sales there is very quickly. People come, it's emotional purchase, like, hey, you need to build the muscles. This is the best protein for you. Yeah. You wanna burn the fat, L-carnitine, very easy and very quick. When I came to B2B, I understood, oh my goodness, the sales cycle, as you mentioned, is super long. It's like, depends, of course, on the product, but 3-4 months. So I learned the patience because I'm a very impulsive person, actually, in my real life. That was a huge battle for me, but I understood. I want to succeed. If I want to succeed, I need to have this skill. And actually, what also helped me to get this patience was, again, to shift a bit just from the outcome and embrace more journey, right? Maybe unconsciously, actually, I was already partially doing it. Still thinking a lot about the outcome, but trying to separate the goal into small steps, baby steps. Okay, this is stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, in the milestones. And that was definitely easier for my mind as well to visualize the success. So I think that was a key factor why I managed to grow in my career is patience, and of course, being a good psychologist, understanding people. Obviously, I didn't learn this. I didn't study this. It's just like you. Either I think you have it or not. Can you actually be empathic? Can you understand what other people feel? But if you can make sure people feel good around you, then you can definitely improve in your career, because we're working with people. So if people trust you, people think that you're a good guy. And actually, I truly believe this is more important than the other skills, like hard skills. And when I'm hiring people in my team as well, I make sure first they fit well in the team itself. They're not toxic, they're nice, energetic, and all the rest can.
Hey, I remember in a previous conversation that we had that before you actually joined the mastermind, you said, well, I was looking at this content from this guy, me, and you thought, oh my God, this all like coaching is all bullshit. I don't believe any of it. And there's so many people that post on LinkedIn, blah, 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 and then it's all rubbish. So tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what was because I agree with you, there's so much random advice, probably good advice out there, but it's very vanilla, it's all the same and it's just kind of painted slightly differently. I'm actually reading this book called The Hard Thing About Hard Things, and it talks about how it's not about frameworks, it's about the decisions that you have to make by yourself when you have to lay off staff, or when you have to deal with something super unexpected. There's no frameworks for that, right? Yeah, I think these vanilla things that we see on LinkedIn are sometimes a little bit, they sound great, but they don't really do anything. But what was your experience with it? Why did you kind of feel, oh my God, this coaching is all bullshit? And yeah, how did you get to that experience and that kind of statement, that feeling that you had?
First of all, to give the context, Leo, we need to remind the people that got to watch us that I partially half the year live in Bali in a year. And Bali is a perfect place for all those coaches. Mental coach, this coach, that coach. Hundreds of coaches everywhere. So maybe my biased opinion was also based on this experience, and as you said, indeed, a lot of people are talking about the same stuff. It's very sugar coated. So vanilla successful success, blah, 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 blah. Right? But you don't see a real result. So I was thinking always about having some coach, but I was like, okay, I don't need like a general business coach, right? Or I have a psychologist already. I need someone in a niche, right? Someone within the industry, someone that actually knows how the things that we're discussing can be applied within the business, right? And then I saw you, and again, being very frank with you, indeed, I found like it's a crap bullshit. He's just another coach.
Not in Bali, but
Yes, not in Bali, but you're more than welcome to come. But then I started to look into what type of people you have there in community, right? And I think that was a driving factor for my decision to apply, just to try. And then we went for the interview for the first call, and I understood that you're a really lovely person as well. So we have a match in terms of the energy. This is vital. This is important. Doesn't matter how good you are in terms of coaching. If I don't like you, why should I, be part of your society? So yeah, and then I completely changed my mind. Again, when I came, I need to admit, I was a bit selfish. I was thinking, I'm gonna learn some skills, gonna grasp some knowledge and this and that, help myself, fulfill my gaps. And what a surprise I had when I understood after a couple of sessions and calls that, oh wow, like, yeah, there are problems that maybe are mine and for some people that are solved, but also it works other way around. Some people are struggling with the issues I solved already a long time ago, right? And I have some ability to assist and help with my advice or questions or just being there around and talking and sharing my journey. And then when you see that actually people change, it's not only about your journey. When you start to really cherish the journey of other people and you become really good friends, this is fantastic. That's the best thing that can happen. And when I saw everyone at the gathering in London that we had, it's amazing feeling. It's really next level because if people get really close to you, you see them 2 times a week, right? And you talk about so many sensitive topics. And when finally have a chance to sit within one table and have a drinks and laughs, and that's fantastic.
yeah, it was great. I loved it as well. It's amazing. Hey, Arturs, I want to talk a little bit about the vulnerability that you show up with. So I think gaming is just so full of people that pretend, right? Awards are bought, like everybody wears their best watches, to the event. You know what I mean? Like all of this stuff. Yeah, fake Rolex. News is often advertisement, really. It's like it's like makeup, and I think it's like you're really brave for being vulnerable in an industry that actually tries to only show their best side all the time. So I wanted to ask you, how did that start? Like, talking about some of your vulnerabilities and some of the things that you struggle with. And how do you feel that that has helped you perhaps with as a leader with your team, but perhaps also with your business? Because we often think about things as just business driven. We shouldn't talk about ourselves. We should talk about business. So how have some of these, how did that start and how has it helped you over time?
Love this question, Leo. Indeed, I think it's not only about the iGaming industry. It's about the social medias in general. It's always sugar coated. We see everyone super successful, being there, doing this, buying that, but of course, it's usually just masks, and a lot of pretending. Uh, so to give you an answer to this, I need to start with saying that I don't think that being honest with yourself and with your audience is vulnerability. Actually, I think this is the biggest strength you can, because you allow yourself to be yourself. And then you're not in your mental cage anymore. You're not a prisoner inside of your own body. Imagine how hard is it to always pretend to be someone that you're not? How much of mental energy do you consume? How unhappy you can be with your own life, knowing that you can't be yourself because you're afraid that you won't be accepted. And actually, for a long time, I was pretending in some ways, in personal life and business. But lately, a couple of years already, I understood I need to embrace myself. I need to love the way I am. And it helped actually people to get closer to me, people that want to approach me somehow, because they see real me and they see my flaws, my let's say problems and trauma, and it really often resonates with them. So they see human being, instead of just like, oh, it's just a boss or a SSC level. He's some kind of a monster, as they could imagine, right? Super professional. He knows what he's doing. He's not afraid of anything. It's not the way it works, right? So it definitely helps from the business perspective. People start to respect you much more. They're willing to do business with you, or just even the connections, really genuine connections. And the same applies for the team. I openly state what are my problems on LinkedIn. I openly share my sometimes fears or my bad experiences with my teams as well. Of course, given the correct context, right? And it helped them to open up. I'm sure my team is not afraid to talk to me about the problems they have. And this is actually fantastic. If we have such environment in the company where they're not afraid to talk to me about anything they want, and if there's even a problem, we can solve it much quicker instead of people hiding, pretending everything is good. And in the end, then you have very, very bad, catastrophic results that maybe sometimes it cannot be solved or fixed anyhow.
Yes, I love it. But there's a scale to this, Arturs, right? So there's a scale to kind of all the way on this side. Perhaps we have people that like pretend to be somebody that they're not, right? Then maybe you have people that are more authentic and they talk, they're happy to admit their failures. But then there's you, right? And you talk about this publicly. That's a whole new level, right? That's actually publicly. I mean, you post about it, you share it with your team, you visibly, share it to the world, and that level of vulnerability, I think, that's very brave, because that's the thing that most people don't do, even if they don't tell themselves lies, right? Even if they don't pretend to be someone that they're not. Like actually sharing it is a whole different level. So what made you decide to do that?
I had good examples, like of yourself, Leo. I saw a couple of posts where actually you're very vulnerable. You were talking about your experience with your health, the physical condition you had, the story about the public speaking, remember, where you were frozen for 8 minutes, right, on the
I
site.
remember it very well.
I'm sure you do remember better than me. So actually good examples of people that already succeeded in their careers as well, understanding that actually nothing is wrong with me. I'm just a human being. And through this message and showing authentic myself, I can actually help other people to talk more about what they struggle. Because otherwise, you open LinkedIn and you just see always wins, this, that, successes. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's good. It's good, of course. You should be positive. You should embrace also your achievements and results. It's fantastic. But when it's very one-sided, personally, I get annoyed then. I see some people in the feed, and sometimes I see the tendency, what they're posting. And sooner or later, I want to unfollow. And actually, I do that because it's not joining. And especially right now in a generation of AI, where people use AI all the time to write content, everything is getting fake. Be yourself, showing you up, saying, listen, okay, this is my situation in life. I struggle with something. This helps to create specific society or community around you. And more you are, and if you're together, stronger you are actually. I truly believe in it.
Yeah, mate, I'm actually going to take that a level further. I think that in a industry or an environment that is so fake, that is getting more and more fake, right? Because of AI generated content, because of pretending, because of people wearing masks, authenticity actually stands out. So it's great, right? Like everybody should be authentic because it allows you to be authentic and it allows you to stand out. And I think that is, I think it's an opportunity rather than a risk. And I think most people actually see it as a risk. And as long as they see it in that risk category, in that SWOT, great, good for us, bad for them, so well done, mate. Okay, hey, Arturs, last question for you. If you would go back to kind of that junior sales guy that started out and that wanted to get to where you are today, what would be some of the advices that you would give them, that you give yourself back then, on what perhaps you shouldn't be doing, shouldn't have done, or what you should keep on doing even more of than you did back then?
Okay, I need to reflect a bit on my journey now. I think I would encourage myself to step out of the comfort zone quicker. So don't get me wrong. The first company I worked at, Soft Gaming, is an amazing company, amazing people. I learned a lot, tremendously, a lot. But I think I could take this decision to move there for a new company, new role quicker. I spent 4.5 years. Maybe after 2.5, 3 years, I could do this step already, but I was always afraid. And secondly, I would already start to do some LinkedIn, activity already back then to build up a certain authority in the industry, right? So people know you, people see you, maybe more networking as well, because personal brand these days works very well. People buy from people. People don't buy from companies anymore. And in the world of social media, right? Yeah, and I think the rest I would do the same. Listen, I love my past. I love all my mistakes I did, all my lessons and learnings I had. And I'm happy with my career overall. So can't complain much.
Great. Hey, Arturs, thank you very much for being on the podcast. Really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you, Leo, so much. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you for joining me on the iGaming Leader podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, head over to igamingleader.com for more conversations and insights. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. I'm your host, Leo Judkins, and I hope to see you next week.